Hi, Miss Lancaster here. Just a quick video to kind of introduce chapter three, giving you some ideas of what you should be looking at. The chapter three is regarding culture. Okay. So culture is the basic way of life of a group of people. Okay. So it is ongoing. It's continuously changing, right? But we don't necessarily lose all of our previous culture. So culture is just this ongoing process. It is kind of the way of life of a group of people. It is really how we get along, right? How each society has its own expectations that are placed on it on us. Okay, so kind of keeping that in mind as you're reading through the chapter, you really want to kind of have a good understanding of what culture is. It is an important piece of our everyday life. It really shapes the way that we behave. And it is made up of both material and non material aspects. So when I think about the material aspects, that's tangible, like the sweater I'm wearing, the clothing that we wear, the foods that we eat, the cars that we drive, the homes that we live in. Those are cultural in nature. Those are material items that are passed down from one generation to the next, right? Ideas, values, beliefs, all of those things kind of shape us, right? The expectations that are placed on us. But the material items, while they may be a little bit different today than they were 100 years ago, they're still kind of very similar. Like even if we think about a phone, right? A cell phone, it's not the same as the phone that maybe your parents or your grandparents grew up with. Um, but they still are doing very similar things. It is a form of communication. However, the communication and the way that we communicate has changed. So when thinking about culture, we have to recognize that there is, again, material and non-material aspects. The material aspects, again, tangible, non-material, the intangible. So when you're reading through the chapter, make sure that you recognize what those components of culture are: values, beliefs, norms, right? Expected behaviors. And there's kind of different types of norms as well: folkways, mores, laws, right? Those are all things that kind of shape the way that we act. Language is a huge component of culture. It really is the basis for all understanding and the way we pass culture down from one generation to the next. So, understanding how all of those pieces kind of shape what culture is. Um, there is also this aspect of what is ideal culture and real culture. So, ideally, we're taught certain behaviors. Ideally, we should have certain things, right? Material items. All of those things are like the ideal, the expected, passed down, kind of taught to us, reinforced in us as to how it should be. But real is what actually happens, right? So make sure that you understand and can maybe consider like giving a description of each, right? Recognizing what would be ideally something that is taught and reinforced, but in reality, what actually happens. There is also this concept of ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. So, ethnocentrism and cultural relativism are on two different sides of the spectrum of really kind of understanding or how we view other cultures. An ethnocentric lens is going to be a way of looking at a culture and judging it based on our own experiences, our own culture. Where cultural relativism, we kind of step away from our own viewpoint, right? Our own experiences so that we can better understand that culture. Don't have to agree with it, but we can understand a different culture from their lens instead of your own. And that would be what cultural relativism is. Some other key things to recognize: there are variations of culture. There is dominant culture or mainstream culture. But within a dominant or mainstream culture, there can be subcultures and countercultures. So recognizing the difference between what a subculture is, what a counterculture is, and how those may be influenced by or shaped by our dominant culture. And the last thing is cultural change that I really want you to focus on, and recognizing those differences of what cultural change is. Your book will talk about cultural diffusion. It will talk about cultural imperialism. These are various cultural leveling. These are various aspects of cultural change. Diffusion leads to leveling, and all of that can happen through imperialism. They're intertwined and interconnected. So recognizing those differences, please let me know if you have any questions or any concerns. And I hope that you're having a great day.